Yoriichi scared Muzan to such an extent that the thrift store Michael Jackson vanished off the surface for over half a century. But what would have happened if Yoriichi was born in the late Meiji period and entered the world of demon slayers in the Taisho period? Let's find out. The Tsukikuni clan, with their substantial wealth and influence, has thrived for more than 5 centuries and has grown into a multi-branched family. However, not more than a century ago, they were faced with an enormous threat as a rival family stood against them. But the Tsukikunis found a way to outsource their rivals and sought the help of the Eternal Paradise cult. Soon after the deal was made, the rival family was wiped off the face of the earth in a single night, with no traces of any surviving members left. Almost a century later, in the year 1890, the head of the Tsukikuni family was blessed with twins. However, as soon as they were born, the Tsukikunis suffered extreme losses, and the family priest advised the head to sacrifice one of their newborn children to the Eternal Paradise cult. Like his ancestor did a century prior, the head decides to sacrifice the younger twin with the weird birthmark on his head. The mother of the twins comes across this information and tries to run away with both of her children, but gets chased by her husband. As she runs through the farms under a moonless sky with the twins in her arms, she stops beside a riverbank to catch her breath. Suddenly, an arrow pierces through the woman's leg, and the younger son slips through her hands, stumbling onto the flowing river. The woman gets caught by the family, and the elder son is snatched away from her arms while the soldiers drag the woman away. Meanwhile, Kariya, the 96th leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, stands atop a bridge. Fed up with his life as the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps and no longer able to handle the debts of the ones closest to him, he makes up his mind to end his life by jumping off the bridge onto the flowing river. However, as he's about to jump, he notices a weird object floating through the river. As the object nears the bridge, a faint crying sound starts echoing through the landscape. Kariya empties his mind and rushes under the bridge to save the object, which he believes to be a young child. He successfully retrieves the baby from the river. However, as he holds the baby in his hand, he's mesmerized by the birthmark on the baby's head. Suddenly, Kariya is struck with the images of a samurai holding a sword covered in flames and is taken aback by his beauty. He snaps back to reality and decides to adopt the baby and raise him as his own, abandoning all thoughts of ending himself. 2 decades pass, and Kaguya, the son of Kariya, takes over as the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. However, a major change occurs among the ranks of the corps as the adopted brother of Kaguya, Yoriichi, proves to be a genius swordsman who ends up inventing breathing techniques and exponentially increasing the power of the Demon Slayer Corps. Thus begins the golden era of the Demon Slayer Corps. Soon, Yoriichi is sent to investigate an organization that is supposedly abducting young women and selling them to other nations. However, Kaguya believes that all this is a ruse by a demon to eat humans while bribing corrupt government officials so that he isn't discovered. Yoriichi reaches the neighboring city, and upon talking to some locals while gathering information, he's indirectly pointed towards the Tsukikuni household by the local residents. As they've been in contact with the organization Yoriichi's been investigating for many years. Suddenly, a man runs past Yoriichi. While crying for help, he shouts with all his might, revealing that a demon took his wife. However, the masses just laugh at the poor soul, assuming he is drunk. However, Yoriichi is not amused, as he asks the man to guide him to the place where the demon abducted his wife. Yoriichi reaches the spot in the outer city and orders the man to go back to the city, as it is dangerous for him to stay there during the night. The man agrees after hesitating for a bit, leaving Yoriichi all alone. Yoriichi, using his transparent world ability and enhanced senses, is able to narrow down a very suspicious cave. He grips his sword and enters the cave. However, he unravels a baffling secret as he ventures deeper. He notices a number of women tied up with a demon, standing guard in one of the sections of the cave. Yoriichi confronts the demon and questions him about the circumstances. However, paying no heed to a single word coming out of Yoriichi's mouth, the demon attacks him, which forces Yoriichi to behead the demon. With the women freed, one of them reveals that another demon is involved in the kidnapping, who transports women to an unknown location every night after they've been kidnapped from the neighboring city. Yoriichi waits another day in the cave and finally comes across the demon, who's come to transport other women for the day. Upon seeing Yoriichi and realizing that his accomplice is dead, he tries to run away using his blood demon art to increase his speed. However, Yoriichi proves to be faster and cuts down both of his legs before he could even take them off the floor. The demon starts wailing due to the intense pain and curses Yoriichi, as he's unable to regenerate his limbs. Yoriichi points his sword towards the slasher demon and questions him about his activities. The demon refuses to talk, but Yoriichi slices off another one of the demon's limbs. Fearing for his life and unable to withstand the excruciating pain from the scarlet blade, the slasher demon reveals that he is working on behalf of Upper Moon 1, who runs the Eternal Paradise cult. He goes on to state that he makes the lower demons kidnap young women and present them to him as meals every other day. The slasher demon begs for his life. However, Yoriichi declares that he has one last question for him. He inquires about the Tsukikuni clan and what relationship they have with the Eternal Paradise cult. Suddenly, the demon regenerates his legs and once again begins to run away. However, Yoriichi goes for the demon's neck this time around and flops it off for good. Yoriichi falls into a dilemma as he is confused about whom to confront first, the Upper Moon at the Eternal Paradise cult or the Tsukikuni household, which definitely has a hand in the kidnappings and is seemingly colluding with the demons. Yoriichi decides to go after the upper demon first, as he believes that he can sweep the leftover roots of the cult after his death, which includes the Tsukikunis as well. Meanwhile, at the Tsukikuni household, Michikatsu is all grown up. He's been groomed all his life to take his rightful place as the head of the Tsukikuni family, but the sins of his ancestors await him in his future as he ignorantly treads the path his ancestors carved out. Michikatsu gazes at the clear night sky with a sense of wonder. This particular night, there is a sense of terror in the air surrounding the Tsukikuni mansion, and Michikatsu can feel the tremors erupting throughout the house as he sees people rushing towards the head's room. Michikatsu enters his father's room and demands to know what the commotion is all about. His father sighs and asks Michikatsu to sit down with him. He explains how his ancestors made a deal with the demon 100 years ago to kill their rivals and, in return, promised him young women as offerings. The flame of this custom was rekindled by Michikatsu's father, and now they faced the demon's wrath as the supply chain of the women was severed by an unknown samurai who slayed the acting demons. Hearing this, Michikatsu is utterly shocked, but fearing that the end of the family is near as the upper demon decapitated the family's messenger, he lets out yet another secret. Michikatsu reveals that he is not his only child, as his mother, Akeno, gave birth to twins. Michikatsu listens through the whole story in silent fury, but his anger turns into a bursting cannon of rage as his father reveals the person who was sacrificed instead of his brother, which turned out to be his mother, Akeno. Michikatsu gets up and immediately decapitates his father with his sword. He rushes out and commands his soldiers to immediately escort him to this demon's lair. Meanwhile, Yoriichi reaches the location of the Eternal Paradise cult and feels a wind of uneasiness hit his hair. He enters the mansion and starts navigating its pitch-dark hallways, with the sound of his steps echoing through the structure. Yoriichi stops before a room. As he moves his hand to slide the door, he's hit by a snow attack that blows away half of the corridor along with Yoriichi. Yoriichi manages to land on his feet while avoiding major damage and unsheaths his sword to confront the demon. Two multicolored eyes shine through from beyond the rubble, and as the dust settles, Doma, the Upper Moon, too, reveals himself. Realizing the strength of Yoriichi, Doma wastes no time in chit-chat and attacks Yoriichi with a barrage of avalanches like snow attacks. Yoriichi dodges most of the attacks, however, he struggles to fight leverage and close the distance between him and Doma. Doma, getting a bit cocky, suddenly decides to stop attacking and falls prey to the Bond villain trope. He is intrigued by Yoriichi's caliber and asks him if he would like to be a demon, as he'll die sooner or later if he remains human. However, Yoriichi replies with an expressionless face and states that demons are no worse than scum, who are God's unfortunate abomination roaming the land in despair while taking innocent lives. This outburst makes Doma laugh. However, Yoriichi finds the opportunity and instantly dashes towards Doma in an attempt to decapitate him. However, Doma sets off an attack on the side of the room. Yoriichi gets confused midway through the attack and glances over to where Doma's attack is headed. He is horrified as he notices a man standing beyond the paper wall through his transparent world ability. Yoriichi stomps his foot and bursts through the wall to tackle the man out of harm's way. Yoriichi immediately rushes back to fight Doma. However, the man he just saved lays there in shock. The man is revealed to be none other than Michikatsu himself, who's astonished beyond belief to witness his twin brother alive. Yoriichi once again engages Doma in combat, but he's at a severe disadvantage due to now having to protect the civilian as well. Yoriichi analyzes the situation and decides to end the demon by combining all the forms of sun breathing and cutting Doma to pieces. Yoriichi accelerates at an unbelievable speed and rushes towards Doma. Doma gets surprised by the sudden increase in speed, and for the first time in his life, Doma experiences the feelings of despair and hopelessness that cover his mind. As the blade approaches Doma's neck and Yoriichi starts tearing through his flesh, a weird scent covers the room, and Doma is pushed in such a way that Yoriichi's sword ends up turning its direction and slashing through Doma's torso instead. Before Yoriichi could take another breath and continue his attack, a woman appeared behind him and snatched away Doma's leftover torso and head, while stating that the master would soon visit him. As the woman starts fading into the air, she turns towards Yoriichi, and he notices the deep purple color of her eye with the kanji of number 1 engraved on it. Yoriichi rushes towards an injured Michikatsu and is shocked to see a splitting image of himself in a stranger. Meanwhile, Tamayo, who is revealed to be the Upper Moon 1, presents Doma in front of Muzan. Not being able to head due to Yoriichi's wound, Doma drags himself towards Muzan's leg and asks for his forgiveness. However, Muzan swiftly decapitates his head and begins reabsorbing him while stating that he didn't like him anyways. Muzan then turns towards Tamayo and commands her to start preparing for him to meet this new samurai.